Hello. For this video, we are going to journey into the penis-crushingly difficult Frost Survival Simulator overhaul for Fallout 4. This mod takes place 5 years after the events of the Great War, so there has been no time for humanity to rebuild the beautiful world that they lost. The inhabitants of the wasteland presumably think this is all my fault and have made a universal agreement to take their revenge on me on site, meaning there are almost no friendly NPCs or settlements at all. So let's not waste any time and prepare to chug the jug. I named myself Isaac Frost after the most difficult boss in video game history, and here are my special stats. But what's more important is my mission. I want to destroy the Themis cultists who hang out around here. I want to destroy the Malden men who hang out around, let me check my notes, Malden, and I want to complete what equates to a main quest line for this mod. But first, a game with an endless amount of content which is being added to all the time. I'm of course talking about Raid Shadow Legends. But why play Raid now? Well, for a limited time only, you can receive the legendary champion Alice the Wanderer for free by simply logging in on 7 different days before March 26th. Also, for a limited time only, Raid is running its latest global event. Alice's Adventure adds 5 brand new legendary champions inspired by classic tales of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. All 5 legendary champions are available through in-game events. These events are available to both new and existing players. Also, if you download with my link and use the promo code MonkeyKing, you can get the legendary Sun Wukong for free. That's 2 legendary champions that you can get easily for your team. There is of course tons of other champions you can get for free to build your team with. I'm personally a big fan of the Cage Breaker, not just for his dashing good looks, but also for his ability to wipe out entire waves of enemies with a single attack. If you download with my link in the description or my QR code, you can get this little guy as well. But not only that, you also get this, and this. And when you reach level 15, you get another epic rarity champion as well as even more free stuff. There's just so much free stuff on offer here. Once you download Raid and get all of this cool free stuff, be sure to join my clan and become a follower of the Jug. Big thank you to Raid. Now let's get back to the video. Our journey begins in the access tunnels. My captor has peacefully fallen asleep, and I find a lead pipe. Then I encounter the first fellow survivors. And yeah, that's a random enemy one-shotting me from full health. Get used to that. I come back and take my revenge, and now I can look for a way to the surface. I get swarmed by a group of homeless people, and from now on, anytime there's a combat situation, just imagine me dying anywhere between 3 and 20 times before I win. It saves me showing them all. After an indeterminate amount of attempts, I defeat them all and start looting. I grab all of the alcohol I can, because in this mod, it removes rads, which is invaluable. I grab a couple more supplies, and a gas mask. This is a very important find, because going outside without a gas mask in Frost is like watching this video and not liking, commenting, and subscribing. Suffice to say, you will die. Shortly thereafter, I emerge from the depths of the access tunnels and get swarmed. The loading screen insinuates that I should give up, but on this channel, I like to blur the line between stubbornness and determination. So over the next long time, I make incremental progress before they're all defeated. I'm then faced with a decision. What should my first perk be? Big leaks for more damage? Lead belly to keep rads under control? But what if I told you radiation-free food is all around us? You just gotta know where to look. Cannibalism. This keeps my rads low, lets me allocate less inventory space to food, and has absolutely no hidden downsides whatsoever. At a certain point, I remembered that attacking in vats means the enemy can't block, but Frost removes pretty much all the damage reduction in vats, so this revelation wasn't really worth much. Eventually I escaped the city. Frost does not tell you what to do or where to go. In fact, there isn't a single quest marker in the whole mod, so I chose to just head towards Sanctuary Hills to grab the Your Special book. I'll leave an IOU for the Soul Survivor, it'll be fine. On my journey, I dispatch of a couple guys, and I go insane. Turns out eating people lowers your sanity. Who knew? But what does this mean? Well, it lowers your intelligence, lowers charisma, lowers accuracy with guns, makes you think friends is funny, increases damage taken, among a whole slew of other negative effects. But it makes sneaking a little better. So there's that. I clear out Concord, a city more populated than the game ever was, and head into the Museum of Freedom to wait out a radiation storm. But on here, something feels different. I see a vision. After awakening from whatever that was, I find myself at some farm, even further away from Sanctuary Hills. Once the storm passes, I continue traveling. After eating another vagrant, a strange mannequin appears. He seems to be doing some red light, green light stuff. Anytime I look away, he moves, so I tactically turn and run away. Sometime later, I make it to Sanctuary Hills. I reach the Your Special book, and I take a look so that I can take the Idiot Savant perk. I then start clearing out some of the ghouls in the area. But this guy on the roof seemed to have a problem with that. After dispatching of the ghouls safely, he's next, because if he doesn't want to be eaten, why is he made of food? But this guy is smarter than me, faster than me, and probably has a better credit score than me. It was like chasing a shadow. After around 10 minutes of getting bodied by this guy, I finally catch him out and get him with this hammer. Then I eat him to hopefully gain some of his courage. With the town liberated, I need a new goal. The loading screen tells me that I will find liberty at sea. I like liberty, so let's go to the sea. Fortunately enough, along the coastline lies my first objective. I want to clear out the Themis cultists around the Museum of Witchcraft. Might seem a little ambitious to take out a whole town, considering a man with a sack on his head doing a cool spin is all it takes to wipe me out completely. And you will be right, but these guys have no guns, so over the course of around 45 minutes, I'm able to slowly pick them off. After saving an entire town, US military style, this dude says some rude words to me.
Death and desecration! You are not worthy. Be gone.
So I kill him and eat him. Afterwards, the church opens and the congregation come out. They're not happy at all. No idea why. But this guy... No, not him. Yeah, him. Thanks. This guy was tougher than the entire town combined. He has God's weapon of choice, the Flamer, which kills me with like one fuel. I feel I could be made out of wood chippings and gasoline and survive longer than this, but whatever. I died so many times to this guy. I just couldn't get anywhere near him without immediately being vaporized. After who even knows how long, I bait him into a melee attack and managed to land a killing blow, completing one of my objectives. I would love nothing more than to take this flamer, but it's really heavy and my inventory is near full already, so items wise, I didn't get a whole lot from here, but I got some valuable XP. I'm not even gonna write a joke for this part. The magic 8-ball under the podium on the altar is funny enough on its own. So that's one objective down, time to move on to the next. I continue my walk down the coastline, hoping to find whatever liberty awaits me, and stumble upon a lighthouse, where the people inside are surprisingly not hostile. This guy even says a prayer for me.
None shall escape his wrath. None shall escape his wrath. Give no respite to those who would harm our family.
But this is obviously a long con to kill me with radiation, so I get him first. You may also notice that the rads are kinda getting up there. Radaway is very rare in Frost, so the most common way to deal with rads is to take a fungal purge. I'm in so much sanity debt that losing more doesn't really mean anything, and I can barely notice the difference between 1 health and full health, so drinking these whenever I can to stop the rads is ideal. Later in my journey, a group of dogs break both my arms, and I stumble into a ghoul-infested area. Let's talk about ghouls in Frost. You get radiation from being anywhere near them, you get a big burst of it when you get hit by one, and if you hit them anywhere that isn't the head, you have not only wasted your own time, but theirs as well. But after I deal with all of them, a shadow appears. I can't hit him, and I can't even target him in VATS. This tells me that he isn't real, and therefore isn't an issue. So with mental illness destroyed with facts and logic, I leave, and quickly find myself in Malden, home of the Malden men, another faction which I've sworn to destroy. So I sneak into town, find somewhere defensible, and begin the assault, but the Malden men seem indifferent to my onslaught. Also, these guys have guns. Soon a horde of them all appear, and in a panic I run through this door. This was a mistake. Something's telling me I'm not gonna win this fight. But the game saves when you go through a door, which leads to this. After around 10 minutes of this, random chance decides that I can run out before I get hit. I die even more because they're faster and stronger than me, but I get away in the end. So the Malden men are gonna get what's coming to them, just not today. The next few hours were mostly just aimless meandering around the coastline, but I do find a buzzblade in a quarry, which is great because enemies can't block it. Melee combat kinda sucks when the enemy just blocks everything. Maybe there should be a system where a power attack beats block beats a light attack, and a light attack beats a heavy attack. You know, like they had in 2006. I also wandered into a radio signal.
I'm over here stroking my dick. I got lotion on my dick right now. I'm just stroking.
In Poseidon Energy Plant, I come across a memory and quickly destroy it with a Molotov, because we all know that alcohol destroys memories. It's like Pokemon. Also, get used to these symbols. They're not going anywhere. But the meandering ends now, because I stumble upon the beginning of the main quest line, and it begins here. It might begin somewhere else, but this is where I picked up on it, so it begins here. I just need to reach the top of this area, which is tough. There's US Army remnants with plasma weapons, turrets constantly shooting at me, and robots who don't care at all that I have a buzzsaw. There's also a sniper at the top who Lee Harvey Oswald's my whole existence before I could even see him half the time. When I finally reach the top, there's only a couple guys left. Shouldn't be an issue, but the visions are having an impact on me. After defeating all the army remnants, turns out it was just this shadow person. Whoa. Didn't think I hit him that hard. So the story begins here. It's told mostly through notes and environmental clues. It's kinda like Dark Souls. I find a recon bunker access code on a soldier, as well as an operation log, which says, Bishop is dead, no sign of the package, and Iscariot has been taken to recon bunker Theta for questioning. There's also a note to Bishop referring to the package as HRD4. Feel free to pause and read the whole thing yourself if you're interested. I just hate when a ton of text is on screen and the guy in the video just slowly reads it all off. On the way to the bunker, I struggle with inventory space and decide to ditch all my guns and ammo. I was saving them for difficult enemies, but this guy's like an inch away. Bullet comes out at almost a 90-degree angle. Whatever, I'm sure this stash will make someone's day. Over in the recon bunker, I deal with some cultists, eat one for good luck, and use the password to log onto the computer. Iscariot, whoever they are, is asked about HRD4, whatever that is, and she says it could still be on the FMS Columbia, but she doesn't know where that is either, and that's pretty much it. They also posit that the package may be some kind of biological weapon, and that there may be more info at the surveillance center K21B in the Glowing Sea, so I guess that's my next place. On the way there, I pass through the fort, which surprisingly has a couple friendly guys in it, but the world has not been kind to me, so I am not kind to it. Considering Frost takes place pretty soon after the nukes fell, the Glowing Sea is a lot more radioactive. So to limit my time in there, take the Loony Wanderer perk to move 50% faster outside of combat. The limb damage doesn't really matter because I just die in one hit anyway. Although, even with the boosted movement speed, the rads really pile up, and this is while using Rad X and fungal purges during the run. I make it inside the bunker barely alive, and I'm met with lots of robots, as well as a sentry bot. But I found a couple Nuka grenades earlier that should help me out here. Down at the bottom, I find a Coast Guard database password. Presumably, that's where we're going to find the location of the FMS Columbia and whatever HRD4 is. So, over at the Coast Guard pier, it's full of ghouls, but the buzzsaw is to ghouls what having a gaming YouTube channel is to women. They aren't getting anywhere near me. The computer here marks the FMS Columbia on my map, and it turns out the ship is in the water. Feel like I could have figured that one out, but okay. Anticipating even more rads, I grab radiation resistance too, not knowing the horrors that loom over me in the near future. Over at the coast, I pop a rad X and gracefully start swimming until I reach the ship. Only this isn't the FMS Columbia, it's under the water. I swim down, and inside it there's... Anyway, I find a key in here, and a note that implies that HRD4 might be a person. It also mentions the Kenmore-Copley subway line, so I guess that's my next stop. Okay, stop, Once in Kenmore, I cut through some homeless people and chug some whiskey to abate my character's powerful alcohol addiction. I didn't even bother going for the party boy perk. Alcohol addiction is inevitable if you want to defeat the rads. Later on, a turret blocks the way. I take out my super sledge, which is the go-to for things that can't block, and deal with it expertly. This isn't me being dumb. My character is insane. It's called roleplay. I use the key from the boat to open the door, and inside I find the Parson's Insane Asylum front door key, and on the terminal it mentions that HRD4 was doing a lot of freaky stuff. But on this scientist's body is a note from Janice that was left for me. Meet me at Parson's. I came into this mod fairly blind, but I know Parsons is a one-way street, so I need to tie up any loose ends before I head there. And the only one I have left is to defeat the Malden men. I had hoped to come back fully geared up and prepped to just mow them down in the streets, but unfortunately for me, my power level peaked right around when I got the Buzzblade, so that's gonna have to be good enough. But as I walk into Malden, there's nobody here. There isn't even anyone in that hell house from earlier. I do find one guy wandering the streets alone. And then I enter the hospital. This seems to be where the whole team was hiding out. As we all know, thousands of people die in hospitals every day, proving that they are not safe and should be abolished. But the only problem is that today, I would make up several dozen of those deaths. I got caught in a bad quick save in this back room and was trapped in a death loop for the better part of 15 minutes. Felt like every corner in this place had some guy hiding in the corner waiting to pop out and quick draw on me. After emptying the bottom floor of Malden men, it was relatively simple to finish off any remaining stragglers, and by simple, I mean I only died like 3 times to every remaining enemy, and then when the place was empty, I left. How many times do you leave a building in this game with a negative KD? Then when I left, some dude fell from the sky. Sadly, he did not have any scrolls of Icarian flight, and then I walk around a little and don't see any enemies. That's good enough for me to cross Malden Man off the list. Time for Parsons. I head into the asylum and deal with a bunch of enemies. Seems like a normal place so far, so I push further in. For anyone curious, my sanity right now is around minus 531. I'm so insane that even the visions don't want anything to do with me. Haven't seen one in a while. Towards the end, I find a terminal that tells me HRD5's real name is Ernest. Shout out to anyone watching named Ernest. Then I run around looking for where to go because surely that was not all this place had to offer, but I didn't find anything new. Oh well, time to leave. Only I don't get to leave. I walk through a door only for it to vanish behind me, and now I'm stuck in a maze-like maze. There isn't really a lot going on in here. I was half expecting to get chased by a PNG of Goku at any moment, but it never happened. But I've played enough Lethal Company to navigate these pretty well. I quickly find a door which leads to the next level, and I kill one of these innocent men chilling in their cell. Then I head to the next floor, only to find myself back where it all began. And in the next room, there's a lab. This guy is hooked up to some device, presumably receiving immense sexual pleasure. And when I go over to the terminal to see if I can get in on any of this, everything goes dark and my entire inventory is removed. When I wake up, this nice man on the ground gives me a gas mask and a baseball bat, and I go outside, only to be quickly reminded of what I'm playing when the first enemy kills me in one hit. Where am I, you ask? I'm in Far Harbor, and I need to get from here all the way over to here, I assume, just because it's already marked on my map. Normally this wouldn't be too difficult, but Far Harbor is insanely irradiated. Then when I finally make it over to Bar Harbor, the area itself is even more irradiated, and it's full of ghouls. So I load back to less irradiated times, and walk back, making more of an effort to avoid all the radioactive fog. When I get back, there's a couple ghouls waiting for me. Finally, I reach the boat and find a shopping list on it. In order to return back to the Commonwealth, which is also the conclusion of the main storyline by the way, as far as I can tell, I need to find 4 copper, 10 circuitry, and 10 industrial grade fuses. The copper and the circuits are easy, so the fuses are going to be the only sticking point here. But it lists where I can find them, so time to scavenge. Let's start with the lighthouse. I struggle through all the enemies waiting here for me, and then spend a few minutes trying to find the industrial grade fuses. Keep in mind nothing is marked or highlighted or anything, so it takes me a while to actually find them after clearing the place out. But during the scavenger hunt, it all started weighing on me. The instant deaths, the crazy amount of radiation, the directionless wandering that led to nowhere. The penis crushing machine had finally accomplished its goal, but once it does, it becomes just a useless machine. But through what could have only been divine intervention, my soulless body has wandered itself into Acadia and stumbled upon something that could give me enough hope to drag myself over the finish line. A hazmat suit and a couple radaway. This gave me enough renewed vigor to go and check out the coastal freighter. You can probably guess how that went. But not being on the verge of instant death from the radiation was enough to help me keep going. But even more, fortune smiled upon me, because this time, one of the first places I went was the place with all the fuses. Except I didn't see them and spent another hour dying to all the enemies and looking around for the fuses. Onto the farm. It went the best way it could have possibly gone. I was able to handle everything it threw at me. It was a real turning point. There wasn't anyone here, so I just went in, got the fuses, and left. On the way to the quarry, I reunited with my beloved buzzsaw, which I used to effortlessly cut through all the enemies at the quarry without dying a single time, assuming you don't count any of the dozen or so deaths I had. But I do find the fuses. And then finally, at the cinema, I didn't have to fight anything, and I now have everything required to fix the boat and get out of here. So I create the boat parts, rip through all the ghouls in my way to reach the boat, escape Far Harbor, and end my journey. Except the boat crashes and I have to swim the last leg of the journey. Thank you again to Raid for sponsoring this video, and a special thanks to all the YouTube channel members who help make this channel possible. Also, a lot of people requested that I make a Patreon because they don't want to donate on the YouTube for whatever reasons. So, here it is. If you're worried about missing out on any content by subscribing to one and not the other, don't worry, I barely post on either. See ya.